For the 6th season in a row, Walters is the official bar of the Nats Chat podcast, located across the street from the ballpark, just off South Capitol Street.
And Seymour delivers, swing and a high fly ball right field, sending Mason back to the warning track to the wall, and he's watching it sail on out of here. Gone, goodbye. For the second straight game, C.J. Abrams has led off the second inning with a home run. It's number 16, RBI number 56 on the season. And the Nationals come right back and tie this game here in the second inning. Bang, zoom goes C.J. Abrams. It's the Nationals 1 and the Rays 1. Now pitch swung on and line to deep left center field. This one way back, and this one is gone. Goodbye. A home run for Dylan Cruz, the deepest part of Tropicana Field to the left of dead center field. Bang, zoom goes Dylan Cruz with a Titanic shot, estimated at 442 feet. A big insurance run for the Nationals off the bat of Dylan Cruz. And it's now the Nationals 4, the Rays 2. Beater comes set. Runners lead first and second. Here it comes. Breaking ball, sliders in there. Strike 3 called. A curly W in the books. And the Nationals win a thriller at the Trop. Clayton Beater walks the tightrope in the 9th inning, but gets it done and earns his 5th save of the year. And the Nationals have taken the middle game of this 3-game interleague series as they are on the field to celebrate a victory at Tropicana Field. A final score with a curly W in the books. The Nationals 4, the Tampa Bay Rays 3.
And welcome to Nats Chat. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. Washington Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman of NatsJournal.com is off for this installment of the podcast, but I'm joined by the creator, owner, and executive producer of the podcast, Tim Shovers. You might say the Jacob Young of this podcast, Tim Shovers. The Washington Nationals, they on Saturday won a game at the team with the best home record in MLB, and this was a one-run win at a team that has been really good in one-run games. A 4-3 win at the Tampa Bay Rays on Saturday in Game 2 of a 3-game series, ending the Nats' 2-game losing streak. The Nats in MLB's 2026 regular season now are 40-37, including 24-15 on the road, one of the best road records in the majors. The Rays now are 42-31, including 25-10 at home, the best home record in the majors, and the Rays now are 10-8 in one-run games. The Nats now are 11-10 in one-run games. Terrific win for the Nats on Saturday. This installment of Nats Chat brought to us by Steve Solomon's candidacy for Montgomery County Council at Large. Visit VoteSteveSolomon.com. Tim and I work with Steve for years. He cares a lot about Montgomery County, Maryland. And check out my conversation with Steve Solomon on my podcast, the Al Galdi Podcast, episode 1345. So the Nats' last regular season did not get to 40 wins until July 21st. Saturday was June 20th. So the Nats have gotten to 40 wins more than a month sooner than the team did last regular season. A lot to get to with this game, including a frightening scene for center fielder Jacob Young, although there is good news. But Tim, what a nice win for the Nats on Saturday.
Very impressive victory, Al. So much was going against the Nationals. Cade Cavalli gets lifted in the 3rd inning. You don't know if he's dealing with the food poisoning or whatnot. Looks like the food poisoning could affect 2 different games, the Friday game and the Saturday game. They have an injury to a crucial position late in the game. Jacob Young makes this fantastic catch, and then next thing you know, Brad Lord is inserted into the batting lineup because the Nats had to lose their DH in all of the lineup maneuvering that came from that. The Nats made a lot of outs on the bases again in this one. They had a bunt that did not go their way in the 9th inning. That was an interesting strategy by Blake Butera, but that went against them. I mean, so many little things were going not their way. Clayton Beater starts out in a real jam. I mean, things got tight immediately in the 9th inning once he fell behind 3-0. And despite all of that, they emerge with a 4-3 victory.
Yeah, this was a wild game. If you watched it, you certainly were entertained, and at the end, you were satisfied with the outcome as the Nats get the win at the Rays and have a chance to win this series, depending on what happens in the rubber match on Sunday afternoon. So the Jacob Young play.
He comes set. Victor Mesa swings and drives one in the air to deep left center field. Jacob Young back, leaps, makes the catch, slams into the wall, and he's hurt. He flipped the ball to Lyle, and now we'll get it back in. Young shaken up after making a leaping backhanded catch and hitting the wall. He's holding his right side ribs. Maybe had the wind knocked out of him. Trainer Dale Gilbert is on the run for the Nationals dugout, trailed by the manager Blake Butera to check on Jacob Young, who was still down up against the wall with Dalen Lyle there. And now coming over as well as Dylan Cruz.
Jacob Young has made it such a habit of making spectacular catches on which he crashes into the outfield wall, and such a scenario happened again in this game. So Young was the Nats starting center fielder and number 7 batter, went 0 for 3, bottom of the 8th. With Chandler Simpson on first base, 1 out, and the Nats up 3-2. Young made a spectacular, leaping, backhanded catch as he crashed into the outfield wall in left center field for a first pitch lineout by Victor Mesa Jr. Now, we have seen Young make this kind of catch before and emerge unscathed. That, unfortunately, was not the case in this situation. He got hurt, if not injured. We'll see. Although, like I said, there is good news. We'll get to that momentarily. Young was writhing in pain on the ground. But, and this is the kicker to this whole thing, and this, in a lot of ways, was the highlight of the whole thing, even more than the actual catch. Young, in incredible fashion, fought through the pain to flip the baseball to left fielder Dalen Lyle while laying on the warning track, keeping Chandler Simpson from advancing to first base. And Tim, I don't know about you, but that visual of Jacob Young writhing in pain on the warning track, but fighting through what he was going through to get the ball to Dalen Lyle, that to me is one of the visuals of this Nats season. That was such an inspirational snapshot in terms of the 2026 Washington Nationals. Now, Young was able to walk off the field on his own, but, he did not look well. Actually pleaded to stay in the game, which is insane. Thankfully, he did get taken out of the game, and manager Blake Butera, during his post-game session with reporters, said that Young is day-to-day, revealed good news regarding the status of Jacob Young.
We got some good news that it should be day-to-day, and we'll see how he is tomorrow.
Now, we'll see, whether Young plays on Sunday, and it's a little murky what exactly Young suffered in crashing into the wall. Butera, during his post-game session with reporters, talked about Young's side, but if you watch a slow motion of the play, it looks like maybe a wrist or a hand might have gotten hurt from Young. His head hit the wall and his neck snapped. So, you wonder or you worry about a concussion, although it sounds like that did not happen. So we'll see about the status of Young moving forward. But what a play and what a flip. And that to me is the takeaway as much as anything, Tim, the flip on the warning track.
The flip was incredible. High IQ play, the kind of play as to why the Nats have 40 wins already through this point in the season, well before game 80 on the season. Such a heads-up play to get that in a crucial play, late inning. How he emerged so far, as Blake Butera says, he's doing fine. I don't get it. Based upon what I saw, that catch looked so hard. It looked so painful the way he ran into the wall. The key indicator, though, is going to be the lineup on Sunday, the lineup on Monday, and really the lineup on Tuesday, because the amount of days that he sits out, that's going to compound upon itself there. But Jacob Young, he has come close to winning a couple Gold Gloves. His name is back in the mix this season. And, we've known for a while how great a defender he is, but against a really good team in a high-profile series, baseball found out on Saturday.
Yeah, Jacob Young was like Bruce Willis is John McClane in the Die Hard movies, like against all odds, finding a way to get that baseball to Dalen Lyle. Just a tremendous play by Jacob Young. Cannot say enough good things about his defense, his athleticism, his toughness. Is there a tougher player on the Washington Nationals than Jacob Young? So we'll just, keep our fingers crossed and hope that, whatever he suffered wasn't too serious. I will say this, given the wonderful injury luck for the Nats this season in terms of position players, I actually would not be surprised if Young isn't injured and doesn't go on the 10-day injured list and ends up being okay. That's the kind of season the Nats are having in terms of injury luck with position players. Not a single Nats position player has gone on an injured list as we are nearing the numerical midpoint of the regular season. Just has been such a great season for the Nats from that standpoint. The baseball gods are smiling down on the Nats this season in terms of injury luck with position players. But again, we'll see with Jacob Young. Now, what about what Butera did in terms of how he made up for Young coming out of the game. Butera, interestingly, brought the designated hitter for the Nats in this game, James Wood, into the game to play right field, shifted right fielder Dylan Cruz to center field. And so the Nats lost the DH in what was a close game. 4 outs left, a 1-run lead. The Nats lost the DH, didn't end up harming the Nats. So Jorbit Vivas pinch hit for reliever Brad Lord, who likely was coming out of the game anyway in the ensuing half inning. But what'd you think about Butera doing that?
Well, on a few fronts. One, I think it exposes a bit of a roster flaw, and that is that there really isn't a fifth outfielder option here because Vivas and Tenna really are not outfielders here. So that was something that jumped out to me. I thought given the hand in which Blake Butera was dealt, I think he made the right decision and moving Wood into the outfield and not being a DH. The negative was that Brad Lord was going to have to hit for himself in the 9th inning, but he had already pitched enough, whereas unlikely he would pitch the 9th inning. He has not pitched 4 innings yet this season. I think if Lord had 1 fewer inning on the mound, it would have been a bit of a harder decision. But all right, you move Wood out of the DH into the outfield. Vivas pinch hits, and he did get on base and almost scored. So it worked out on that front. So I think Butera made the right move. But again, as I said, I think that they should be thinking about that the infielders need to be someone who could also be versatile in the outfield.
Yeah, that is a roster flaw. We have talked about that. I think in this case, though, Butera did the right thing, not only because the decision worked out, but because of where you were in the game. If you did go to extras, there's a decent chance, if not good chance, you're going a reliever per inning. So if you had to keep pinch hitting for relievers to whatever extent they were coming up to hit in that DH spot, you probably could have gotten away with that. But it's not ideal, that's for sure. Now, it's funny how baseball works out. Thrust into the game in terms of playing defense. And what happens, the next Rays batter ends up hitting a ball right to Wood for the 3rd out in that bottom of the 8th. And then, Vivas in that Nats 1-run 9th had a 1-out single and then got tanked out at home on an attempt at a squeeze play with Cade Ruiz batting. Butera, I'm assuming this came from Butera, had to have come from Butera if it was a squeeze play, had Cade Ruiz bunting, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I'm going to say this. I did not want Cade Ruiz bunting. The guy's hitting for power for the first time in his career, really. Let him swing away. Butera really likes a squeeze play. We know that. Who are we to argue with the process of the Nats, which is, that process has been outstanding so far this season. Butera loves a squeeze play. But man, I was saying to myself, and I was laughing at myself as I was saying this because it sounded so ridiculous given his overall track record. But yeah, Cade Ruiz, who now has a .484 slugging percentage, I was like, let the guy swing away. Don't have Cade Ruiz bunt in that spot. The play almost worked. I will concede that. It was a great play that was made by the Rays' third baseman, Junior Caminero. But yeah, I wanted our guy, Cade Ruiz, swinging away. Am I crazy for thinking that?
No, I totally get where you're coming from there. The Rays were ready for that. Caminero made a great play, but they were also set up for it. That at bat had taken him for a while. Ruiz had tipped his hand that he was looking for a bunt. So absolutely no surprise there. I agree. I would have swung away with it. There are other guys in which I would try to make that play with and execute a squeeze bunt with, not Cade Ruiz. And that missed opportunity could have been very costly in the 9th inning. 5-2 is a lot different than 4-2, but Clayton Beeter walked the tightrope there in the bottom of the 9th. But I didn't think Butera handled that one well.
Hello, Montgomery County, Maryland listeners of Nats Chat. This is for you. I'm Steve Solomon, candidate for Montgomery County Council at Large. You may remember me from my 20 years on local radio as Solly at the Team 980, where I worked with Nats Chat's own Al Galdi, Mark Zuckerman, and Tim Shovers. I myself am a podcaster now as well. I'm asking for your vote for Montgomery County Council at Large. Over the last 10 years, I've gotten much more involved in local issues in Montgomery County. I'm an active member of my civic association, the County Civic Federation. I volunteer at nonprofits. I serve on the board of directors of the Montgomery County Sports Hall of Fame, the Sports Advisory Committee, and the Library Board. Montgomery County is a great place to live. We've got incredible parks, libraries, restaurants, businesses, and most of all, people. That's why I'm running, because I think we can do better. Whether it's at economic development and bringing in more businesses, helping the small businesses that are already here by streamlining permitting and cutting the red tape on inspections, or growing our partnerships with our thousands of amazing nonprofits. Doing those things will give us more money to keep all the services and programs we love funded, like programs for our seniors, taking care of homeowners and renters, and funding our parks, libraries, and rec centers. Once again, this is Steve Solomon. I'm running for Montgomery County Council at Large, and I'm asking for your vote. Early voting runs June 11th through June 18th. Election Day is June 23rd. You can learn more about me or how to contact me at votestevesolomon.com.
Feel your best and amplify your everyday look with Thrive Cosmetics. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/shine26 for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/shine26.
Here's the set. He runs the pitch, swung on, line toward the left field line. This is going to be down and roll to the corner into foul ground, extra bases. One run is scored to third, and stopping there is Lyle as Nunez doubles into the left field corner. That scored Dylan Cruz from third, and the Nationals lead by the score of 2-1.
So this was a strange game for the Nats offensively. 4 runs on 10 hits, which were 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and 6 singles. The run total was meh. The hit total was good, 10, and you had 4 extra base hits, but the Nats drew no walks for a second consecutive game. The Nats have yet to draw a walk in this series. We, on the last installment of the podcast, talked about how good the Rays are at preventing walks, at not issuing walks. And also the Nats went just 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position. But the Nats did hit the 2 homers, and they came from Dylan Cruz and C.J. Abrams. Wonderful to see that. Dylan Cruz as the Nats starting right fielder and number 5 batter, 2 for 4 with a solo homer and a single. He and the Nats 1-run ninth, had a leadoff homer that ended up being quite the important homer. A leadoff homer to left center field for a 4-2 Nats lead, despite having been down in the count at 1.02. A really good piece of hitting by Cruz. And the homer was super impressive, a projected 442 feet per StatCast. Dylan Cruz with his 4th home run over his last 13 games. Are you feeling better about Dylan Cruz?
I am feeling better about Dylan Cruz. We all should be feeling better about Dylan Cruz. Dylan Cruz is making a play or two a night that's leading towards a lot of victories so far for the Nationals. I think the last week has been his best week thus far. It seems like every single day he's been impactful. And along with being a few games over 500 now, I think Nats fans should take a lot of joy, though cautious joy, but joy that he is not floundering at the moment.
Doing well defensively as well, has excelled on the base paths as well. His OPS for this regular season at the major league level now starts with a 6. I am happy to say his OPS was in the 5s for the longest time, now is above 600 at 602. And then C.J. Abrams homering again. Abrams as the Nats starting shortstop and number 4 batter, 1 for 4 with a solo homer. Abrams in the Nats 2-run second, leadoff homer to right field on a 1-2 pitch to tie the game at 1 as Abrams continues to have such a good season. He's now at 16 home runs, second on the Nats to James Wood's 20. Abrams slash line now, 283 batting average, 366 on base percentage, 520 slugging percentage, good for an 886 OPS. So Cruz and Abrams homered. Nasim Nunez had a multi-hit game. He was the Nats starting second baseman and number 8 batter, 2 for 4 with an RBI double and a single. Nunez in the Nats 2-run second, a 1-out full count RBI double to left field to put the Nats up 2-1. Nunez, as we have discussed, has been a lot better as a batter lately. His overall numbers are not good. We understand that. We've talked about that. But here's the truth. Nunez in the month of June has been one of the Nats' best batters. Here is their Nasim Nunez slash line for this month of June. You ready for this? Batting average, 386. On base percentage, 438. Slugging percentage, 523. Yes, Nasim Nunez, offensive force in this month of June.
He makes a play or two every game. Just like I said with Cruz lately, it seems that all season that Nasim Nunez steps up right away. They got 2 runs, one of which comes off the bat of C.J. Abrams. The other was an RBI double by Nasim Nunez. Nunez has really inserted himself to make things difficult for Paul Taboni as to what to do with him long term. How do you fit in? Because he is just too good to avoid playing in the lineup every day.
Yeah, I mean, the conversation now is becoming, is Nasim Nunez the Nats' second baseman moving forward? I think a lot of us had viewed him as a stopgap measure. Maybe not. Maybe he is, in fact, a legitimate piece moving forward. He is the Nats' second baseman moving forward. And I mentioned James Wood. He was the Nats starting DH and number one batter, 1 for 5 with a double. Wood and the Nats 1-run fifth, an opposite field double off the warning track in left field on a 1-2 pitch. So Cade Cavalli was supposed to be the Nats starting pitcher in Game 1 of this series. The 5-2 loss at the Rays on Friday night was scratched from that start due to food poisoning. He was the Nats starting pitcher in this 4-3 win at the Rays on Saturday, but he lasted for just 2 2/3 innings. And what's tricky is, okay, how much of this was the food poisoning versus how much of this was just Cavalli, who we know can be pitch inefficient, and he was highly pitch inefficient in this outing. He allowed 2 runs on 6 hits, 3 walks, and a strikeout. The 6 hits were a double and 5 singles. He threw a ton of pitches. He, over his mere 2 2/3 innings, threw 68 pitches, 39 strikes versus 29 balls. He, in a 19-pitch, bottom of the first, allowed a run on 3 singles and a sac fly. He tossed a scoreless bottom of the second despite sandwiching 2 2-out walks around a 2-out double. He, in that inning, threw 28 pitches. He, in the bottom of the third, allowed a run on 2 1-out singles sandwiched around a 1-out walk. So, like I said, how much of this was the food poisoning versus how much of this was just Cavalli doing as he can do? Tough to say. I would imagine he was not at 100% for this start, but he did make the start, and it did not go well.
Cade Cavalli did not pitch that well on Saturday. The food poisoning, you wonder how much that affected the outing, as you talked about. And the Nats looked like they were in a real tough spot when he was pulled early, and Mitchell Parker takes over in the 3rd inning. And it's like, shouldn't Mitchell Parker be in AAA, not on the mound here in Tampa Bay? And this one, we just sort of reflexively and by default have called Cade Cavalli the ace all season. We briefly called Foster Griffin that during his really hot stretch, the TGIF stretch, if you will. But I was thinking later in the game that the Nats ace was on the mound on Saturday. Just his name is Brad Lord.
Yeah, you might not be wrong. I mean, I think an interesting conversation is which pitcher has been the Nats' best pitcher this season. And you basically have 2 choices, Foster Griffin or Brad Lord. Now, I would go with Foster Griffin. He has thrown many more innings than Brad Lord has thrown, 84 innings versus 51. But if you want to say Brad Lord, there is a case for Brad Lord. I don't think it's crazy to say Brad Lord. And, it's funny how things work out because in Game 1 of this series, P.J. Poulin and Miles Michaelis in many ways saved the Nats bullpen of Cavalli being a late scratch. In this game, the bullpen in many ways saved the Nats with Cade Cavalli not lasting long in the game.
Some days you just want to amplify your everyday look. Like when you want the look of false lashes without the extra effort. Reach for Thrive Cosmetics Liquid Lash Volumizer Mascara. Or when you want all eyes on your smile, keep Empower Gloss Ultra Glossy Lip Serum in your bag. It's a burst of 24-hour hydration that smooths like a serum, shines like a gloss, and can be worn sheer or layered. You'll always look and feel your best with Thrive Cosmetics. Plus, every product is 100% vegan, cruelty-free, and made with clean, skin-loving ingredients that work with your skin, not against it. Amplify your everyday. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/shine26 for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/shine26.
When life happens and you need care fast, you can Teladoc that. Actually, for almost everything health-related, checkups, check-ins, and everything in between, you can Teladoc that. Visit teladochealth.com to get started. TELADOC health.com.
Cavalli sets. Now the pitch. Swinging a ground ball towards short. Abrams has it. He flips to Nunez through the bag. Off balance throw to first. In time, a double play. Not an easy one. Turn started by Abrams to his right. Getting it to Nunez with a fall-away rocket throw to first to end the inning. A 6-4-3 double play. And considering what it was, bases loaded, nobody out, you probably take that as a win.
3 Nats relievers combined to allow 1 run in 6 1/3 innings with 9 strikeouts. Mitchell Parker was good. Let me repeat that. Mitchell Parker was good. He tossed 2 1/3 scoreless innings. He threw a lot of strikes, 32 pitches, 24 strikes, just 8 balls. Brad Lord, as Tim indicated there, was good again. 3 scoreless innings with 5 strikeouts versus no walks. He gave up 2 hits, each of which was a single. Issued a hit by pitch. He threw 36 pitches, 28 strikes versus just 8 balls. Brad Lord continues to be so good. His numbers now for this regular season, 23 games, 51 innings, ERA of 2.29, a whip of exactly 1. Just, it's been so reliable. I've talked about how I want to see him used as not just a long man, but a high leverage guy. And in this game, he was used as both, which is perfect. 3 scoreless innings, and it ended up being a 1-run win. And then the adventures of Clayton Beeter, man, that was some 9th inning. Beeter 1 run in 1 inning, but he recorded 2 strikeouts and got the save. He in the bottom of the 9th allowed a run and issuing a leadoff walk and then giving up an RBI single. The Nats were clinging to this 1-run lead in the 9th inning. Blake Butera called for a 2-out intentional walk of Junior Caminero. I totally agreed with that, but that did put the winning run on the base paths. That gave the Rays runners on first and second with 2 outs, and Beeter generated a cold strikeout to end the game. That was close, a little too close for comfort, but Beeter ended up coming through.
Oh, man, that inning, that was like a slow, painful start to the inning there. Death by paper cut, it felt like. Beeter falls behind 3-0, so right away, things are in trouble. That 4-2 lead felt really tight right away. 3 stolen bases against Beeter and Ruiz that inning. Tampa it was open season for them, a little bit of a track meet there, so that was a bad indication. But Beeter just worked his way around it, got the big strikeout, kept the ball mostly out of play to strand the runner there. And it's wins like today as to why the Nats are going to be in contention for as long as they're in from this one. Because, as I said, there are so many reasons to falter and to let the lead slip away. And Clayton Beeter having a real jam on his hands in the 9th inning would be at the top of the list. And he escaped out of it.
I will say this about Clayton Beeter, and I know that it isn't always pretty, but he does something that so few pitchers on this staff, especially relief pitchers, do, and that is generate strikeouts, and that is so valuable. Beeter's strikeouts per 9 innings now is at 10.07, and here you had him in that bottom of the 9th, multiple runners on base. You need strikeouts in a situation like that. You don't need balls in play, even if they result in outs. You need strikeouts. You need swing and miss stuff. And he has that, and 2 mammoth strikeouts in that bottom of the 9th inning to turn what could have been a disastrous outing for him, what could have been a hellacious loss for the Nats, into a wonderful 1-run win. So nice work there by Beeter. And again, just to go back to Brad Lord, and I've mentioned this before, but I think it bears worth mentioning. If you go by wins above replacement per Baseball Reference and you look at Nats pitchers, Foster Griffin is number 1 at 1.9. Brad Lord is number 2 at 1.5. And this is entering Saturday. So, that WAR number for Lord may be going up by a 10th of a win above replacement. We'll see. The calculations usually come out the following day early in the morning. But Lord has been awesome. He has been someone who, you look at, and I've thought about this too. Okay, so we know James Wood and C.J. Abrams are easily the top 2 most deserving Nats to make the National League All-Star team. It would be very surprising if a 3rd Nat made the NL All-Star team. But if I said to you, who is the 3rd most deserving Nat to make the All-Star team this year, I think you could argue Brad Lord. I really do. And I'm not saying he's going to make it or even necessarily should make it, but if we're just saying who is the 3rd most deserving Nationals player to make the 2026 National League All-Star team, Foster Griffin would be in contention for that. You have a few batters who would be in contention for that, like Curtis Mead is doing really well, some other guys too. But Brad Lord, I think Brad Lord would be a part of that conversation.
Al, you're reading my mind. I was thinking the same thing and ready to talk about it, that there is a real path for Brad Lord being an all-star this year. It basically mostly is going to come down to if Dave Roberts is a fan of Brad Lord or not. Where I really think he's got his best chances in the final days, there's just so much movement, right? And a lot of replacement players on the roster. And I think when you get into those final few days, I think that's the sweet spot for Lord, if he is available, to get that last second invite. So I wouldn't be surprised if Saturday or Sunday while the Nats are facing the Yankees to close out the first half. If Brad Lord got a last-second invite there, he certainly deserves it. He is indicative of a modern-day all-star in that his role didn't really exist 20 years ago or 30 years ago on a pitching staff. This is very new age, and I think it would be a nice feather in the cap to the new regime with Paul Taboni and Blake Butera if Brad Lord went from someone who was a worthy piece in the Mike Rizzo era, but now an all-star in year one. That would say a lot about this 2026 season.
We don't assume anything with who makes the All-Star team, but it certainly seems more likely than not that the Nats have at least two All-Stars this year, right? James Wood and C.J. Abrams. And I know the voting results for Wood have been underwhelming, but I don't know how much that matters because Wood has been so good that if he's not voted into the game, he will be selected for the game. Him not being selected for the game would be a crime, and I just would be really shocked if that happened. But yeah, man, if the Nats in this season number one of a restarted rebuild got a third All-Star, had three players on the National League All-Star team, that would be wild. Would love to see that. I don't know how likely that is, but just the fact that we can talk like that is pretty cool. Brad Lord doing such a nice job. And the Nats off a rough start to this series with a chance to win the series. Game 3 Sunday afternoon at 1:40. Andrew Alvarez will be the Nats starting pitcher. And then after that game comes a 4-game series against the Philadelphia Phillies at Nationals Park Monday through Thursday. And then after that comes a 6-game road trip for the Nats, a 3-game set at the Baltimore Orioles next weekend, followed by a 3-game series at the Boston Red Sox June 29th through July 1st. And then comes the Nats' next scheduled off day on Thursday, July 2nd. So we'll see, man. But I tell you, a win at the Rays on Sunday afternoon, a series win at Tampa Bay. How great would that be, given how good the Rays are this season, and how much the Nats, in so many ways, aspire to be the Rays from a process standpoint? There would be a lot of symbolism in the Nats winning this series if they, in fact, do that.
Yeah, there's a lot to be on the line for Sunday in that if they win, they get win number 41 well before game number 81, so they'd go into the first half with a winning record. It's game 78. On Sunday. They're right neck and neck with the Phillies for second place. So, if someone sweeps the series between the two teams or someone wins the series and wins 3 out of 4, that will be your second place team a few days from now in the National League East. And this also would be a nice measuring stick for the Nationals. All right, you went up against one of the best teams in the American League. I mean, the Tampa Bay Rays are probably the second best team in the whole AL behind the New York Yankees. And if they were to go down there and win 2 of 3, especially when Cavalli gets sick the first day and then only makes it to the third inning the second day, and you're still able to win a series with a lot of other circumstances surrounded that'd be a very nice thing getting on the airplane back to play the Phillies.
Jacob Young, the catch and the flip. And the flip may well have been more impressive than the catch. Let that sink in. What a moment by Jacob Young, one of the moments of this Nats season. This installment of Nats Chat brought to us by Steve Solomon's candidacy for Montgomery County Council at Large. Visit votestevesolomon.com. Tim and I work with Steve for years. He cares a lot about Montgomery County, Maryland. Check out my chat with Steve on my podcast, the Al Galdi Podcast, episode 1345. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat, courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. Nats Chat is on the radio Sunday morning 9 to 10 on ESPN Richmond, which is 106.1 FM in the Richmond, Virginia area, and Sunday morning 9 to 10 on ESPN Radio 94.1 in the Virginia Beach area. For Tim Shovers, I'm Al Galdi. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Now the set, the 0-2 runner goes at first, and a swing and a fly ball right field. On the chase is Cruz, a long way to go. Can he get there into a slide? He makes a spectacular catch. Sliding along the foul line, it's a catch in fair territory. Cruz saves the day. That would have scored 2 runs on a fly ball down the right field line. He went a country mile for a sliding catch to end the inning.
Some days you want a little extra oomph to your usual look. Whether that's lashes for days with the viral Liquid Lash Extensions mascara or awakening your eyes with a lasting lift and soft color with the Brilliant Eye Brightener, Thrive Causemetics is your go-to when you want to amplify your everyday look. Whether you want a simple, just got to get out of the door routine or full glam, you'll always look and feel like the best version of yourself with Thrive Causemetics. Plus, every product is 100% vegan, cruelty-free, and made with clean, skin-loving ingredients that work with your skin, not against it. And for every product purchased, Thrive Cosmetics donates to help communities thrive. So every time you use your favorite Thrive Cosmetics product, you're helping communities you care about too. Amplify your everyday. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/shine26 for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/shine26.